Hello, everyone. Welcome to Save News TV. We have had a monumental day today, especially we citizens of North Carolina and South Carolina. We've had a very eventful day. We know that the Chinese spy balloon was over our state. FAA enacted a no-fly zone in the states of North Carolina and South Carolina. And we also know that the balloon has been eventually shot down. So anyway, we did a video. We went live today because we are located in North Carolina and we're located at Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. So it went silent in the city when the no-fly zone came in, and it was silent. There was no planes flying for quite a while, and so we know eventually it floated on over to Myrtle Beach, and that it was eventually shot down. So what we're going to do tonight is I'm going to bring you some updated information, and if you want to watch the video, you can look in our playlist, but I'm going to also put the link to the video that we did earlier today where we went live, and we actually was live when they shot it down, and we showed you video of it, live coverage of the takedown. So, we're back to covering the things that we love, and that is news and political news and things of that nature. That's what we do over here, and we fully enjoy it. So I'm going to put let me share the screen right here so you can see the actual takedown. You can see where the balloon was hit. Now, we asked some pertinent questions during the live today, and we definitely want to get back to those questions that we were asking. And I also want to update you on some news. Now, initially, it stated, the news stated and everyone stated that the Chinese spy balloon was on Wednesday over Montana. Now, of course, you all know how I roll. I mentioned this in the previous video, but we weren't able to confirm this due to the fact that it was only reported, what I saw at that time, by a local newspaper in Alaska. Now, the defense and the military official said today, that the balloon entered the United States air defense zone north of Altulia Islands on January 28th and moved over land across Alaska and into Canada airspace in the Northwest Territories on January the 30th. The next day, it crossed back into U.S. territory over northern Idaho. U.S. officials spoke on conditions of anonymity to discuss this sensitive topic. Now, this was reported by the Associated Press. So in our initial video that we were live covering this, my question was, how did this thing get here? How did it get here? And so it is showing us now that it was in our airspace in Alaska earlier, and they spotted it. However, instead of taking it down and allowing it to go from Alaska over to Canada, then into Idaho. Why wasn't it handled and taken care of then? These are questions that we really need to ask ourselves. And also, what I want to do is to bring up, because this is a discussion tonight, so I really, if you want to get involved in the conversation, I'll definitely put your comment on screen and we can discuss this. I'm going to bring up a picture of the United States map, and so we can really look at this and really examine this situation right here, because this is something that we need to talk about. Because oh God, this thing want me to download it, but I don't want to download it. Alaska is, most maps unfortunately will show you Alaska down by California, New Mexico. They'll stick the little thing inside of it, insert. And okay, let's bring up this map, because we know that Alaska is in the Pacific, on the Pacific Ocean side, and it's up further. So let's discuss this, and then we're going to cover some of the news that some of the the news articles and what's being reported on this. So let me bring myself smaller so we can look at this map even larger and discuss what we're looking at here. Okay, whatever, start chat. Let's enlarge this. Okay, so we know that even though they insert Alaska down here, we know it's not down here by Mexico, right? We know that Alaska is over here to the left of Oregon and Washington State. So, as I stated earlier, the United States defense and military officials that spoke on the anonymity said that on January 28th, it entered Atulia Islands on January 28th and moved over land in Alaska and into Canada. So we know that there are military bases. El Madoff is the largest military installation in Alaska, and it's 1,330 acres. I'm sorry. And it has more than 800 buildings, 2 runways, and more than 150 roads. And there are more than 6,000 military personnel of all branches of the United States and Canadian armed forces that is assigned to that location. So again, like I stated, we know Alaska is over here. So the spy, instead of taking this spy balloon down, Chinese spy balloon down, and it was the size in the Pacific Ocean, all right? And they said it was the size of 3 school buses. There was plenty of time to take this spy thing down. It was allowed to cross over land in Alaska. Okay, well, it's in Alaska, so why not take it down? Maybe you couldn't catch it in time, but I doubt it, because Secret Service, there should have been intelligence with the United States that this was a spy balloon before it even got to in American waters. So the military and the officials stated that it crossed over from Alaska, like I said, it's over here, into Canada, and it came down in Idaho, right here. And that's why we're showing this map, so you can see exactly where Idaho is, because sometimes geography might not be because I know sometimes it's not my best suit, but it crossed over here in Idaho. Then it went to Montana. All right. And we know from earlier today from the video is that that's where our nuclear warheads are stored in silos are in Montana. Now, once the optimum thing to do was to take this down over here in the Pacific Ocean. Okay? Since, there's American citizens and things of that nature. You saw it coming to Alaska. You let it come over Alaska, where we have the largest military base. The Elmendorf is the largest military establishment that's in Alaska. It is 13,130 square acres. Okay, it has over 800 buildings. Okay, so it passed over that. All right. Now there's still the Pacific Ocean. Once it passes over that, you still have the Pacific Ocean here that this aircraft could have been, the spy balloon could have been taken down right over here. Why allow it to continue its trajectory? It went into Canada, then down to Idaho. Then it went to Montana. Okay. Now, the press is not, we don't have any information as far as how it continued to flow. And because like I said, it's in Alaska, then into Canadian airspace, the Northwest Territories on January the 30th. The next day, it crossed back into U.S. territory in northern Idaho. U.S. officials spoke on a condition of anonymity to discuss the topic. All right? So we go back to the map. Now, this was on the 30th. All right? Today is February the 4th. All right? This thing went over into Montana. It was allowed to travel across the United States. However way it went, we don't know. Now, if information come forward where we know the path that it took, we will let you know. But as of today, right now, we don't know. This is more information that we got here today. And it came over here to North Carolina. So from the 30th until the 4th are 5 days. It took 5 days. Now, let's go back to Montana. We know from the press release and everything, and the statements from defense, that it hovered over the base that has our nuclear warheads in silos. Okay? And then it traveled all the way across the United States to North and South Carolina today. That's where it was today. And that's when we went live, bringing it to you when the FAA shut down the airspace. Okay? And it had to have been, see, you see this area right here? Coming around here where it says Raleigh, all this area. This is where eastern North Carolina is where, and the coastal North Carolina is where the bulk of the military bases are in North Carolina. Okay, you have Camp Lejeune, you have Cherry Point over in New Bern, Jacksonville area, in Jacksonville. You have Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, where we're located at. Like I stated earlier today, we have the most sophisticated aircraft that the military have stationed here at Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. Now, after it left this area, then we have Cherry Point. Fort Bragg, all of them military bases in Fayetteville. All of this area, all of this is concentrated in this area of eastern North Carolina and the coastal North Carolina. Now, Myrtle Beach is right about here. So it hovered over our bases and everything, and then ended up over here by Myrtle Beach. Okay. Then it hovered over that area for a while, and it was eventually shot down. And it was taken down by the fighter jets. So we're going to also tell you that on Tuesday, it stated that Biden was first briefed on the balloon on Tuesday. Okay, now they spotted it in Alaska on the 28th. Okay, so we're talking the 29th, the 28th, 29th, 30th, the 1st. That's 4 days. Now, if you have it's hard for me to believe that it would take our military and our intelligence community to wait 4 days to notify the commander-in-chief of this nation that there is a spy balloon, Chinese spy balloon, over our nations in our waters, covered by the time they say that, 3 days, which was the 31st, to notify the commander-in-chief that it was there. By that time, it had already entered, past Alaska, into Canada, and then into Idaho. Okay? So, our congressmen, senators, president, there needs to be an investigation into this. The White House said that Biden was first briefed on the balloon on Tuesday, which was January 31st. The State Department said Bilkin and this Deputy Secretary Wendy Sherman spoke to China's senior Washington-based officials on Wednesday evening about that matter. Okay, I'm questioning why so long. To notify the commander-in-chief, is this a drop the ball situation with the Secretary of State and Bilkin and the Deputy Secretary Wendy Sherman? Did they drop the ball? Just okay, come on in. A balloon, a spy balloon that's the size of 3 school buses. Just come on in. We're not going to address it. We're not going to tell the commander-in-chief. Something is amiss. If they did not tell Biden until Tuesday, then they need to be fired. Okay? Now, I have to applaud Tillman, our North Carolina representative, because earlier today, we were on it. We told you all to get on the phones, tag them in emails, tag them in on social media or whatever, and demand some answers. And so, you all got on it, and I appreciate that. You all got on it asking why, because this, Tom Tillis stated in a tweet today, he said, now that this embarrassing episode is up. I hope you all got y'all coffee, because I got mine. We need answers from the Biden administration on the decision-making process. Communist China was allowed to violate American sovereignty, upended for days, and we must be better prepared for future provocations and intrusions by the CCP. Now, the South Carolina representative, Lindsey Graham, is senator, and I tell you, you all got on it, and I say that's what we need to do, was more positive. Thank you for the men and women of the United States military who is responsible for completing the mission to shoot down the Chinese surveillance balloon. The Biden administration did the right thing in bringing it down. See, that's the difference. We here in North Carolina, we got too many bases. We ain't having that, little nicety thing that Lindsey Graham had. No, we in North Carolina, we don't play that. You're going to answer to why you allowed a Chinese spy balloon, to cross our territories for days, come into our territories, and not handled appropriately when it was first spotted in Alaska on January 28th. Okay? Now, China stated that, it's just a weather balloon. Insists that it's a meteorological research that went off course due to winds and had only limited self-steering capabilities. Now, it couldn't be limited self-steering capabilities because as we look at this now, it knew where it was going. It came from the air base over in Alaska, crossed the Pacific, into Canada, down to Idaho, northern Idaho, which is right here, and over to Montana, to the next base where we have our nuclear warheads in Silo. But it according to the Chinese, it got off course, it lost its way, and, nobody believes that. We don't believe that. And then somehow, because that it has limited steering capabilities. It had enough capabilities to come all the way over here to the other military bases. Like I stated, we do not know the course in which the total trajectory of this. It has not been released to us. So it came from over here, the military base, all the way over here. There's military bases here. I know there's one in Springfield, Illinois, in the Illinois area. And then all the way over here where these other many military bases are here in North and South Carolina. Okay? So, all right. So the Pentagon, they refuted that and stated that it was carrying sensors and surveillance equipment and was maneuverable and showed it changed course and that it loitered. This is my new word. I love it. I used loitered before, but for them to say this was just rich, because to loiter means to hover, to stand still, to stop and inspect, to have no movement, to surveillance. The sensitive areas, see, not just one. You understand? Because there's more than one. This is plural. You have to, as you look at verbiage, it says the sensitive areas of Montana where nuclear warheads are siloed. Leading the military to take actions to prevent it from collecting intelligence. You can't. You're talking about nuclear warheads. It's not like I'm going to take this phone and move it from here to here. That is something you just can't move. Okay? So I don't know what they did to move or to camouflage or whatever. I don't know whether it was effective. We don't know. I'm sure they're not going to release that to the general population. And we just don't know. And so Biden stated that he wanted the balloons down on Wednesday, but was advised that the best time for operation would be when it was over water. Okay? Well, if they knew that the best time to take this down was when it was over water. Riddle me this. Why didn't they take it down in the Pacific Ocean when it was over here by Alaska? Why didn't they take it down in the Pacific Ocean before it got to Alaska? Why allow it to come into Idaho, Montana, sensitive bases where we've got stuff, all the way across the country where other military bases are, to eastern North Carolina and the coast of North Carolina and the coast of South Carolina? This should have been taken care of on the Pacific coast. All right? And I'm not a military expert. I'm just using logical common sense. And logical common sense would tell anybody, if you see a threat coming to your nation, you know, especially surveillance, even though it didn't have, well, according to them, it didn't have any chemical warfare or it didn't have any nuclear capacity or whatever, but it's a threat to our nation because now they have intelligence that they didn't have before. You understand? Is America safe? That's the question. Are we safe with, as far as that? Because it's not like the old days. Them shooting it down means nothing. That's just a, make you feel, make it sound good. We shot it down. No, boo. Because the information and the data that they were collecting, it was immediately uploaded, I'm sure, via satellite to China. Okay, so there's no need to, get excited and do this huge press conference and make a big hoopla of we shot it down, because we shot it down means nothing. And you can collect whatever you want to collect or whatever, because what they have, they already got their information. We're living in, this is 2013. Even now, you can send a text, an email, a photo, or whatever instantaneously. It doesn't have to wait that balloon did not have to wait to get back to its original destination to transmit that information to China. Okay? So since the military told Biden, 3 days later, okay, 3 days later, that it was, after they found out about it, it's best to take it down over the ocean, of the water, not in land, which would bring, because it's 3 school bus size, 60,000, it was an altitude of 60,000 feet. And you imagine you shoot something down from 60,000 feet, even something as small as, a pin coming from 60,000 feet, landing on something, an object or someone, could be deadly. Okay, would pose an undue risk to the people on the ground, which that makes sense. Okay, but again, you knew it was over here in the Pacific before it even got here. Questions need to be answered. We need to definitely contact our elected officials. These investigations need to be done, because if they're just going to let, any willy-nilly just, fly over, come over in the United States with their spy equipment whenever they feel like it, you're not going to, according to you, you did not notify the commander-in-chief for 3 days, 4 days, really. You're talking about, you saw it over there on the 28th, but you didn't do anything about it. What you do, just look at it? This is crazy. And to have a commander-in-chief that, that they would not, is it that they didn't trust him? Why would they keep this from him? Aren't they notified? They should be, isn't the president notified immediately of risk to the nations? Do they have the right to, we're just going to hold on to this information until it get too late. And it's better over there. Okay? Okay, the presence of the balloon above the United States this week dealt with severe blow. It already strained relationship between the U.S. and China. It prompted the Bilkin to abruptly cancel the high-stakes Beijing trip aimed at easing tensions. Well, now China done been over here, got their information and what they need. They don't care about you canceling no trip. Are they supposed to be mad about that? When they already got classified, sensitive information? And we know how Biden feels about classified documents. Okay, and I haven't even finished the series on that because, so much stuff is happening. Even Hunter Biden's friend had access to classified documents. So just, what? Then they want to brag that they successfully, look, they successfully took it down, and I want to compliment our aviators who did it. Biden said after getting off Air Force One en route to Camp David. Man, that man was on his way to Camp David before this even happened. Okay? They had the video up of him going to Camp David before they shot that thing down. Okay? Alright, so again, we know that it was spotted at the Carolinas as it approached the Atlantic. We were live. Again, I put the link to the video if you want to go back and look at the live coverage of us showing video, talking about it, and also showing the actual shots that took it down. Okay? And then it goes on to say that about 2:39 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, a F-22 fighter jet fired a missile at the balloon, puncturing it while it was 6 nautical miles off the coast of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Senior defense official said. Really, it should have been done over here by Alaska, 6 nautical miles off the Pacific coast. The Pacific Ocean, not the Atlantic Ocean. The Pacific Ocean, that's where it should have happened. Okay? Now, if you all think I am wrong about this, just let me know. But I'm telling you, this is crazy. This is the same, maybe, I wonder, did they not trust to give him this information? If this is true now, that they didn't wait. They waited until Tuesday after they done crossed over the Pacific, Alaska, Pacific, Canada, in the Idaho, over in the Montana. They waited to then to tell him, okay? So then he took another day, say on Wednesday, they told him on Tuesday, it took another day to say, okay, on Wednesday I want it shot down, okay? So then the question is, did they not trust him? Did the military not trust to tell the commander-in-chief, the one, because, he left soldiers over in Afghanistan. Now, being from a military town, I'm just saying that there's a code. And if they don't trust you, they don't trust you. They're going to look out. I'm not saying that this happened. I'm just saying when, you're Secretary of Defense, but I'm telling you, there's a reason why, if it's true. Now, this is what the White House is reporting to the press, is that he wasn't told until Tuesday. Okay? So, it's just strange to me they would wait that long. This is, they would wait that long to tell the commander-in-chief of the nation. All right? Do they not have briefings? Okay? They have briefings. Okay, the spectacle had Americans looking to the skies all week, wondering whether the mysterious balloon had floated over them. What was it? And then on Saturday, someone went to get their mail out of the mailbox in Fort Forest Brook, South Carolina, and noticed her neighbors were looking up. And there it was, a balloon in a cloudless blue sky. Then she saw the fighter jets circling and the balloon get hit. Now, it would behoove me, they have a capability of warning the citizens, if there's an emergency or whatever, sirens, texts, whatever. I remember when Trump was in office and they did a test to all American citizens. I remember I got a text. I was like, what? They have a way of notifying the citizens of this nation of danger. And I don't know whether they did not because they did not want people to panic. But when something is flying over the nation and they have no idea of what's in it, they can say it's a spy balloon. It could have been armed with, chemical warfare, kill us, but we buy everything, most of our stuff from China anyway. They can kill us either way, different things. But I'm saying, what was the process of this decision making? Because it makes no sense. This thing was allowed to travel all across this nation, all these American citizens. No notification from the White House, no notification when the FAA shut down all flights. Can you imagine being at the airport and all flights are grounded? You're wondering what's going on. Why are they grounding all flights? They didn't just ground, they grounded commercial air flight. But when you ground military air flight, that's a whole different level, baby. There was no plane, there was no sounds of aircraft. As I stated, we have the most sophisticated aircraft that the United States of America owns at our base. And you hear nothing in the air. There's certain days like, child, it's all day, every day. But then some days, hour might pass, 2 hours might pass, whatever. You hear in the air. You hear those jets. But for complete silence for this city for that amount of time, it's eerie. Okay? And again, like I said, the decision making that was done in this, I question whether or not whoever was in charge was qualified. Okay? It said that the debris landed in 47 feet of water, shallower than officials had expected. And the debris spread roughly 7 miles, and recovery operations included several ships. Okay? Now, when you have something the size of 3 school bus, so when a school, go look at a school bus and look at 3 of them, and it spread it out that far, and it was so close to land. The thing of it is also they wanted to make sure that they shot it down and it landed into the United States, the waters, territory. They did not want it to be out in international waters, then it would be an issue. So then, now, as I cover this article, I'm going to explain certain things to you, but, like again, I said, if there's any military personnel, military, either active duty or retired, and you want to chime in or something like that, send you can just put in the chat or whatever. But let's read this part again. The debris landed 47 feet of water, shallower than what they expected. Now, 47 feet sounds a lot, but when you're talking about 3 school bus size object, the whole thing, and it goes down 47 feet, Like they said, it was shallower than what they expected. And it spread 7 miles, the debris. And the recovery included several ships. Okay, so then that means that we had the Navy involved, the Marines involved. We had our ships from these bases on the coast of North Carolina and South Carolina involved. They might even pull warships, depending on how much debris it was. They might even pull ships out of Florida. You know, the officials estimate that the recovery would be completed in a short time, not weeks. A salvage vessel was en route. But it says it's taken several ships. Now remember that it went down. They said it would take, and I question whether they're going to get it all, okay? Because they shot it down at 2:39 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, okay? It starts getting dark. Well, I'm sure they got lights and stuff like that on the ships. I know they do. Around 5:30, because I was mentioning today that the days are extended, getting longer and longer. So around 5:30, 6 o'clock, it's starting to get dark. And so then, you know, you have the lights, okay, to recapture this. You know, I question the decision making on this. It said that we were able to collect intelligence on the balloon as it flew over the United States, giving them the number of days to analyze it and learn how it moved and what it was capable of surveilling, according to 2 senior defense officials. The officials briefed reporters on condition of anonymity. Okay. So let me get this straight. You didn't shoot it down over here in the Pacific Ocean, okay? Over here in the Pacific. You allowed it to do all of this, and then you're going to surveillance it. You know, you didn't surveillance it before. Like I stated, it could have chemical warfare. It could have had a number of things in it. As it moved across our nation, collecting data, sending it back to the enemy of our nuclear warheads that are in silos. You let it collect all that, all of this, other bases, all the areas. Something wrong with this analytical thinking of the decision makers here. Okay. The official said the United States military was consistently assessing the threat and concluded that the technology on the balloon did not give the Chinese significant intelligence beyond what it could already obtain from satellites, though the United States took steps to mitigate what information it could gather as it moved along. Come on now, y'all. Come on. How long did you come to that conclusion? Okay. What if it had chemical warfare in it and it was misting across the nation as it went? You know, it could have dual purpose. Could have more than several purposes. Okay? Republicans were critical of Biden's response, as very well they should be. Okay? This is what Mississippi Senator Roger Wicker stated. He said, allowing a spy balloon from the Communist Party of China to travel across the entire continental United States before contesting its presence is a disastrous projection of weakness by the White House. And I agree with him. I agree with him. You're going to allow your enemy, that's just like me. Let's say we're not friends. Or, that's like me coming to your house, opening your door, going through your refrigerator, cooking your food, laying on your couch, kick you out of your bedroom. I'm just going to come in and take over, and you're not going to do anything. You're going to let me keep on going through the house, but you're going to sit back and surveillance me. You're going to sit back and surveillance me to make sure I'm not a threat. What kind of sense does that make? What kind of sense does that make? I'm sincere here. What type of sense does that make to allow the Communist Party of China to come into, and when you saw it afar off, like I stated, you saw it over here in the Pacific Ocean before it even got to Alaska. Then you allowed it to cross over the Elmendorf base, which is the largest military installation in Alaska. That is 13,130 square acres and is occupied by more than 800 buildings, 2 runways, and more than 150 miles of roads. There are 6,000 military personnel on that base from all branches of the military in the United States and the Canadian Armed Forces. You're going to let China go over that. That's where they're in. You're talking about with that military base over there, should have been shooting that down. That's what should have happened. That should have been shot down in the Pacific Ocean in Alaska before it even reached Alaska. All right? And then we already talked about what Tom Tillis said from North Carolina. He said, this is embarrassing. He said he's glad that it's over. The embarrassing episode is over. Now we need answers from the Biden administration on the decision-making process. Communist China was allowed to violate American sovereignty, upended for days. We must be better prepared for future provocations and intrusions. And that's the thing. If they feel comfortable, which they probably do now, because they were able to come on across the United States. If they feel comfortable now, and it was predicted by a retired military that by 2025 we would be at war with China. They feel like now they can fly over here and send their balloons with anything in it. It could be anything. Chemical warfare, kill your crops, kill your people, drop invasive plants, drop invasive seeds. I mean, it could be anything. We're just going to send this balloon, dropping stuff. Made it comfortable. We got an open border. And a lot of people think that, the thing that is with open borders is due to South America. South Americans. No. It's not about Mexico, Honduras, and those places. Those are not really our enemies that enter this country that harm us. Our enemies, terrorists, I have to say a different name because these social media streets. They come through those borders, not just the southern border. They come through the northern border. And people they thinking they're just going to drive up. No, there are places. Let's look at this map again. There are places along this border here that are not manned, that you can walk straight from Canada through the woods into the United States of America. So it's not just the need for the southern border to be shored up. It's for the northern border also. We need to protect our land. I don't know I don't understand the thought process of these. I mean, just call me one of those strange people that just don't understand, because my thought process is totally different. There's no way that thing would have gotten over our base over in Alaska. Okay. Okay, China could, like I stated, China said it was a meteorologist balloon that went off course and they couldn't maneuver it. We know that wasn't true. Okay, we know that wasn't true. Now, they did reach out to the China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Of course, they did not respond to a question about, guess what? A second balloon. The Pentagon also acknowledges reports of a second balloon flying over Latin America. Okay? So, now that they figured out, okay, well, we do have some waters in between, but it's not American, waters. It would be international waters. But I've also heard a report through that China has sent a warhead in the Gulf of Mexico. So now here we got a second balloon that's flying over Latin America. We now assess it as another Chinese surveillance balloon, Brigadier General Pat Ryder, Pentagon's press secretary, said. Now, China didn't make a comment. They didn't return any calls, didn't respond. And also, one thing that we have to think about is, which I said earlier in the video from earlier today, is that do they have these spy balloons traveling over where we have military installations all over the world? Do they have that going on where we have military bases all over the world? So not only assessing the United States military bases, but also we have bases in countries all around the world. Okay. It also states that there has been other times that there's been spy balloons, and but this is the first time as a president that they've seen the balloons. Okay. Okay, we talked about that. Uncensored reactions on the Chinese internet mirrored the official government stance that the U.S. was hyping up the situation. Y'all just going crazy. We just have a meteorologist balloon that's lost its way. We're not doing anything. And you know that they control the media over there, just like, we complain about that, but this media over here is controlled also. Trust and believe it is. Some used it as a chance to poke, and we're talking about the Chinese, I'm reading this. Some used it as a chance to poke fun at U.S. defenses, saying it couldn't even defend against a balloon. And nationalist influencers leaped to use the news to mock the U.S. See, now we've been made a fool of. They're over there, I'm sure, on TikTok, too, saying, this is what they're saying about America, our military. The well-financed, supposed to be the best machines in the world, fighting machine, that they could not even defend against a balloon. Okay? And it's true. Because I tell you what, let America try to go do this. Before it get to China, they shooting it down. Okay? They taking it down. Alright? I can understand a third world country or a country that doesn't have the military equipment that we have that they wouldn't have any other choice but to allow it to cross. But we're talking about the United States of America here. And they over there laughing. They can't even defend themselves against the balloon. And they mocking us. Okay, in preparation for the Operation Saturday, the Federal Aviation Administration, which is the FAA, temporarily closed airspaces over the Carolina coast, including the airports in Myrtle Beach and Charleston, South Carolina, and Wilmington, North Carolina. But they didn't bother about telling us nothing. Just come on. You citizens, you know, you all might think that it's the rapture or when everything happened. Okay? But I'm not going to go to the spiritual side of this. I want to address the spiritual side of this in another video, because as a prophet, sometimes, we don't even realize that we prophesy. I was at an event on, what day was it? As a matter of fact, what day was that event? Was it the 21st, January 21st, or the 28th? I got to go back to my calendar. And I had the very conversation about, it's a convenience to live in a military state because, the safety, you got the military here, but the downside is that, the downside in living in a military state, especially, or a town where there's, like the Air Force base and stuff like that, a military base, is that they're going to come for you, okay? But one thing about, now, like the Chinese, they laughing. They can't even protect themselves against the balloon. But the comfort that we have, somewhat comfort is, if somebody come try to attack us, especially Seymour, if they come by air, oh baby, we are on it. Like I said, we got the most sophisticated fighter jets. They come by land. We have the Army, Cherry Point. We have the Navy. We have the Marine. We have all branches here in North Carolina. So, we just, that's a good thing. But they're going to come for us. They're going to come for us. They're going to come for us first before they would come to some rural area, But I'm trying to, let me see if I can find this date. Yeah, January 21st, I was at an event, a friend of mine, birthday party, and I was talking to this people that were sitting at the table with me, and that was a conversation I had with them. And they looked at me like I was crazy, okay? But it's amazing that we are in this situation, okay? So the FAA rerouted air traffic from the area and warned of delays as a result of flight restrictions. The FAA and the Coast Guard worked to clear the airspace and water below the balloon as it reached the ocean. Okay. So, like I stated, not only, they're reporting, the regular media that you're going to see, they're reporting that the FAA shut down airports. And I'm here to tell you, based on firsthand knowledge and experience, they shut down military airspace. They shut down the airspace everywhere. And it wasn't until after, I guess I have to go back online. It might have been 20 or 30 minutes or so, maybe about 30 minutes. After that balloon was shot down, did I hear a fighter jet coming back into Seymour Johnson. And that was enough time to get from South Carolina to here. I don't know whether that was the particular fighter jet that took it down, but I know there was nothing in the air over here in this place here. So the military bases were shut down. Of course, there's televised footage. We all have that. It deflated, and then it deflated instantly as fighter jets circled around it. 1 second, it was there. like a tiny moon, and the second it was gone. That's what was being reported. But anyway, everybody, I wanted to come on and have this conversation with everybody because we, like I said, we went live today and we brought this, and as I stated to you earlier, that once we got more information, as things sort of settle down and we get some concrete information, because a lot of times when something big like this happens, you get, a bunch of stuff from everywhere, and I have to have time to confirm that it's accurate. Okay. Now also, we went over that. Okay, so this is what was said here. Even if the balloon was not armed, it posed a risk to the United States, said retired Army General John Ferrari, a visiting fellow at the American Enterprise Institute. The flight itself, he said, could be used to test America's ability to detect incoming threats and to find holes in the country's air defense warning system. See? That right there. Not just taking surveillance, but also America's ability to detect incoming threats from the air and holes in the country's air defense warning system. Now, I just told you they were over there laughing, saying that we couldn't even defend ourselves against a balloon. Okay? He continued to say, it may also have allowed the Chinese to use electromagnetic emissions at higher altitudes satellites cannot detect, such as low power radio frequencies that could help them understand how different U.S. weapon systems communicate. So this is much deeper than just flying over, There's so many ramifications that could have happened, possibilities. And this is coming from the retired Army General John Ferraro, okay, that stated this. There's certain things that this spy balloon could have done other than just taking pictures, and that's concerning. That's very concerning, I'm very concerned about this. Okay, very concerning, very concerning. Okay, it said that the F-22 fighter jet that was supported by an array of Air Force and National Guard fighter jets and tankers, including F-158s from Massachusetts and tanker aircraft from Oregon, Montana, Massachusetts, South Carolina, and North Carolina. All pilots returned safely to their base, and there were no injuries or damages on the ground, a senior military official told reporters on Saturday evening briefing. So like I stated, every aircraft was down. And I told you about 20, 30 minutes or so. I got to go back to the video, tell you exactly how long from the time they shot it down till I heard fighter jets coming back into this Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. It was about 30 minutes because I think once they shot it down, I think I stayed on the air about another 20 or 30 minutes. Okay. The Navy, the U.S. Navy vessels moved in to collect the debris, waiting to collect debris. Like I said, we talked about the depth. Okay, we'll talk about this. We've talked about this, but we're going to talk about this a little more. Once the balloon crashed into the water, the U.S. official said the debris stretched 7 miles and were 47 feet deep. We talked about that and how shallow it was. And but then they said it made it easier to retrieve the sensor package and other parts that may be salvageable. Okay. Officials said the USS Oscar Austin, a Navy destroyer, and the USS Carter Hall, a dock landing ship, and the USS Philippine Sea, a guided missile cruiser, are all part of the recovery effort, and a salvage vessel will arrive in a few days. They said the Navy divers will be on hand if needed, along with unmanned vessels that can recover debris and lift it up out to ships. The FBI will be present to categorize and assess anything recovered. Okay, where were you? Where were you? FBI, Secret Service, Intelligence, Interpol, whatever you want to call it. Not Interpol, but when it was over there in the Pacific Ocean before, on its way. Why was there no warning then? What's the deal? Tell us. Okay. As an intelligence value, the U.S. official said the balloon's voyage across the U.S. gave experts several days. We talked about this, to analyze what was in the balloon and gather technical data. While they were gathering technical data, you know why you just Jesus. Okay, they declined to provide details, but they said they expect to learn more as they gather and scrutinize the debris. Please, y'all could have been doing that back on the 28th when it was over there before when it was over in the Pacific Ocean before it got to Alaska. Okay. And it says spy balloons aren't new. Primitive ones date back centuries, but they came into greater use in World War II. Okay. U.S. officials said Saturday that similar Chinese balloons transit the continental United States briefly. We talked about that before. Just want to make sure that I've gotten everything that I wanted to discuss tonight on this. Okay, according to military research documents and studies, the U.S. began using giant trains of balloons and sensors that was strung together and stretched more than 600 feet apart of an early effort to detect Soviet missiles launched during World War II era. They called it Project Mogul. All right, so we're talking about a little history of spy balloons. All right, and that's okay. Wait a minute, let me read this. Okay. Oh. Okay, so one of the balloon trains, which we were just talking about from World War II, crash landed at the Roswell Army Airfield in 1947, and the Air Force personnel who were not aware of the program found the debris. The unusual experimental equipment made it difficult to identify, leaving the airmen with unanswered questions that over time, aided by UFO enthusiasts, took on life of their own, and a simple answer, according to the military reports, was just over the Sacramento Mountains at the Project Mogul launch site in Almagrado. Okay, well, that's an interesting fact. But anyway, everybody, I just wanted to come on and go over a little history, go over what has been okay, Brooks. All right, won't be much debris since they shot the sensor platform directly from the missile. Looks like they didn't want to salvage it. Ooh, okay. Now that's an interesting prospect because, you know, like I stated, what confused me is they didn't shoot it down over the Pacific Ocean. So is this something that they knew? Was this an inside job? The video I did earlier today, I had someone write in the comments that someone within the government knew that this was going to happen. Okay, that they were compromised. That somebody within the government was compromised. So whoever, and also you got to think, why did it wait? Why did they wait from the 28th of January when they first saw it to the 31st to notify the commander-in-chief of the nation of this project, of what was happening? So you're right. Now that I think about it, thinking about the missiles, they definitely probably didn't want to salvage it. You definitely have a good point here, Brooks. Definitely. Thank you for your comment. I don't know what else to say. I think I covered everything from the map, because it was very important for me to go over the United States map so we could really get a clearer understanding that when it was first, again, once they first saw it, it was over here in the Pacific Ocean before it even reached Alaska, and that it flew over the largest base over there that has both United States branch military and Canadian. Then it went over back into, because Alaska's over here, they still had a chance over here, and it was still American waters that it was in to shoot this thing down before it got to Alaska over here and then over here. But they allowed it to go all the way up into Canada, come down into Idaho, and now over to Montana. And then all over the United States over here to where we are, the east coast of North Carolina. So, I don't know. I just tell people, now please, I encourage you to please reach out to your elected officials, your senators, congressmen, and demand that there be some type of investigation, because the thought pattern, just me as a layperson, I'm educated, but that doesn't, just because you're educated don't mean you got common sense. You know what I'm saying? But anybody with common sense can see that there's a problem with this. There's a major problem with this. And like the Brigadier General, I'm trying to find his comment again because I want to read it again. What was the other possibilities that could have not just taken surveillance pictures? I got to find it. I'm reading this press release that's come to us. So I got so much information, I'm trying to make sure I read the right thing and not just some stuff, But again, here it is, where Brigadier, they're acknowledging the second balloon. Oh God, where is it at? I'm reading so fast. But again, they using their operation, they could have found holes in our defense system as far as our aircraft notification. There's a lot of things that this definitely have consequences of. Yeah, definitely. So anyway, everybody, we thank you for joining in and, commenting, giving me your area expertise or your opinion. We appreciate it. I just think that we need to demand answers. And like I stated, they are over there laughing, saying that the Americans can't even defend themselves against a balloon. That's cold-hearted. But it's true. Your commander-in-chief cannot, defend themselves against a balloon. Okay? That's cold-hearted. That's cold-hearted. But it's a fact. But anyway, everybody, thank you. Yes, I agree. Yes. Few can be trusted to lead the investigation. That's true. That is facts. That is fact. That is fact. Thank you, Brooks, for joining in. And make sure you all like, share, and subscribe, please. And share this out. We're going to be bringing more information. So hit on your notification bell as things, we found out more information. We'll bring it to you as always. We thank you so much for joining us on Save News TV. I hope you all have a very blessed and prosperous weekend. Good night. Good night.